Well, here we go. Hi, happy Thursday. Yes, it's an hour later than normal, and many of you know that, and I'm glad you're here, and it's a good time. Anyways, welcome. Thank you for being here with us. It's Houseparks Megawordlwide. Give a thumbs up, like, subscribe, do all the stuff that you have to do to help a professional streamer out. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what I am these days. In between Nerd Halen gigs and stand-up and my ongoing hunt for a new agent. Offers are there. Thoughts are being considered. But I'm in no rush because I have you guys. And that's a beautiful thing. So not only do I thank the Patreon members, patreon.com/houseparks, bless you people, for helping me actually make this show a real thing, but also because it's a real thing, I don't have to rush into a bad business relationship. That's you can't. That's priceless. That is that right now I have a privilege because of you guys that no one in the entire Trump orbit has. Those guys got to scramble for every nickel. Now, obviously, my nut is much smaller in some ways than in other ways, lots larger. But is much smaller than servicing the debt on a bunch of buildings you forgot your kid bought. But still, it's a lovely thing, and I thank you for that ability. And welcome and gather in, and hi, chat room. And right out of the gate, can I jump right into the no one is surprised category for some of this shit? Why are we surprised on anything? Okay, this is it did it again. It's one of those things where the thing goes back to thinking it's the wrong. I think my computer restarted without my permission, and it switched okay, go to studio mode, and then I have to pick this other thing, and then I'll go to this, and then I'll go to I'm fixing stuff. Hi, just talk amongst yourself. It's fun. It's a good time. And I switched it. Sometimes it automatically chooses the wrong display, and I don't understand it because it's a very odd thing. Hold on. What are you doing? There we go. It doesn't matter. All right. And this way, this guy. Nope. And pick this guy. Is it? This guy. Nope. Get there. Come on. You can do it. Yeah, there we go. All right, now I fixed it. I don't know why I was all confused all of a sudden. That every time my computer restarts, it renames my monitors. I have no idea what that's about. Windows, fix yourself. There are a lot of things that the Mac can't do yet because they're stupid and dangerous. And sometimes, for the sake of a live stream, I need to do stupid and dangerous things. But in this particular case, if I may, transition, you crazy thing. There you go. These are fairly simple. Just remember what monitor you are. Stick to your number, you nutcase. Okay, now, thank you, Bald Thanos. How are you? Small nuts, no good. It is in an economic sense, and that is where I differ from the Trump world, as it were. Hi, how are you? By the way, also welcome trolls. I haven't said hi to you guys in a long time, and I know you're sitting there and you're sitting on your thumbs. Because, you can take it easy here. Yeah, okay, so this is Candace Owens. And Candace Owens came to the defense of Andrew Tate today, or on her show yesterday, or whenever the fuck this is. Like, anyone cares. But, she shares a desk, like, this is the other side of the room from Ben Shapiro. And apparently, this is her thought on Andrew Tate. Let's see. Wait a minute. Hold on.
This human sex trafficking, whatever, in Romania.
Loud. Hold on. Listen to the beginning of this shit, though.
Fast forward to today, and I see these allegations of him being a rapist, human sex trafficking, whatever, in Romania.
Whatever. Human trafficking, whatever. Human trafficking in Romania. Okay, first of all, guys, if I may say to myself, any Romanian woman knows that's part and parcel to being Romanian. It's part of their pride. And if you know, it even includes women who are shipped there in a container and never see the light of day.
My take on this is that I do not believe that Andrew Tate is a rapist. I don't. I think that that is what people like to accuse men of when they're trying to take.
They're trying. For the record, a few of these girls are minors. So it's always rape. If you're not old enough to consent, that's what clinches it. It's not even a matter of opinion on their part. We as a decent society, that we've got a label for that, and that applies, and it's rape.
Take them down, right?
Yeah, they're really going after Andrew Tate. People were being kept up at night, and they just decided, hey, I think I'll fly to Romania and allow him to sedate me and force me into sex trafficking so that I could just get him.
Do I believe that Andrew Tate is exactly what he tells us that he is in his videos when he talks about women and he says that he thinks that women should be subservient to men, and that in his relationships he says that he has tons of children, and that he says that in his relationships he expects to be the more dominant one? I'm paraphrasing here.
Yes, what she's doing is she's taking the psychotic, misogynistic, evil bullshit the guy says and trying to package it in a way that makes it seem harmless. And that's healthy.
Here, but Andrew Tate is not hiding exactly who Andrew Tate is.
No, you are.
It always has been. And clearly he communicated exactly what it was and whatever it was that he does in Romania to my assistant, giving her the option. Maybe she wants to join. For all I know, maybe in Romania, which may be perhaps the reason he moved.
Wait, there's some deal with her assistant moving to Romania to be one of his hoes? What?
Romania. Whatever he was doing, being a modern Hugh Hefner is...
No. Oh, no. He wasn't even being a modern Bob Guccione. He wasn't even being a modern Larry Flint. You creep. The Playboy Playmates could live in the house, or they had a house across the street, but they didn't have to stay. And Hugh Hefner never kept their fucking passports when they tried to go back to their home country.
Is legal. I'm taking a guess here. I don't know, but if...
Yes. Okay. Yeah. The Romanian police arrested him for something that is legal in Romania. That's what they do. It's how they do law in Romania. It's the opposite. Law-abiding citizens enjoy the freedom of going to prison, and the criminals stay outside. It's a trade-off, but it's because the country sucks. So it's better to be in a prison and away from it.
If you're a guy and you hold citizenship in America or in the United Kingdom, and you decide to uproot to Romania, it's got to be because you can do a little more dodgy stuff in Romania. It's the Eastern Corridor. This is how things work.
Right. He went down there. He thought, hey, I can't chloroform a 16-year-old and keep her in a hotel and make her perform cam work against her will and kidnap her, essentially. I obviously can't do that in the UK or the US for very long, or I'll get busted. So I'm going to just go down to Romania, and fuck, wouldn't you know it, it's against the law there too. Did I get the wrong brochure?
Right? Romania is like Ukraine. It's an incredibly corrupt country.
Yes, in some ways, she's correct. In Romania, just like Ukraine, you cannot dose a 16-year-old, sorry, Matt Gaetz, and force them to perform sex acts on camera for your financial gain. And you certainly can't do it to multiple girls at the same time. So, and again, what a weird take from Cando over here, that what makes Romania like Ukraine is its corruptness. And yet the problem this guy is facing is that he's a corrupt scumbag and he's being arrested for it.
The governments are entirely corrupt.
No. Apparently they've got, and all the corruption. It's weird. They'll corrupt a lot of things. It's kind of like Cell Block C is towards pedophiles and child murderers. They'll forgive all kinds of horrible shit you've done, carving people up and eating their liver before you surrender to the cops with 2 guns in each hand and blah, blah, blah. That's fine. But if you cross the kid line, then they hit you with a cement block while you're in the bathroom. Apparently, Romania kind of operates on similar rules. You can do a lot of sketchy shit here, except kid stuff. So, and I'm sure, maybe Andrew Tate is just mad at her for giving him the kind of advice like, yeah, you could do that there. Perhaps that's what we're finding out today, is that Andrew Tate, she thinks she's in like civil legal, like he's going to sue her for bad legal advice because she told him that I mean, I can't legally help you do it here because I live in Florida or wherever the fuck she is. But I heard you can try it in Romania.
Now, the risk that you run is that what you are doing in Ukraine might be legal if your goal is to be a Hugh Hefner. And I think that what he did, I believe that Andrew Tate was always upfront with all of these women.
Right. And if it was about always upfront with these women, that'd be one thing. But you see, some of them are girls. As the adults, I mean, you guys know me. I don't play the whole position of power, men and women above me, and this is my only way up the fucking ladder. I say go find another ladder. I don't buy any of that shit. If you're 18, you can go to a battlefield, so anything you experience in life is on that scale. But under that, fuck around and find out. You mess with somebody under 18, it's why that line has so much distinction. There is none for Candace.
In the same way that when you go to work for the Playboy Mansion,
Nope. Again, the Playboy Mansion doesn't hold on to your fucking passport.
they're pretty upfront with the fact that you're going to be walking around in a bikini wearing bunny ears when Hugh Hefner.
That's right. But you will not be drugged and shoved into a sub room and fed pizza, apparently, as your main diet, while being forced to perform sex acts on camera. It's a big distinction. And again, everyone at the Playboy Mansion, any woman who is there, is over the age of 18. It's a huge distinction, and it just needle scratches any of this fucking conversation. Why is she sticking up for him? Rokita, I think, and I think a lot of people in the chat are asking, why is she sticking up for him? 2 reasons. 1, she's fucking gross. And 2, there is a position that the right has staked out in response to Believe All Women in the Me Too movement a few years ago that is just like pure defense. No, their response to Believe All Women was not what actually we should talk about is listening to all women and weighing the merits of their case, but that fuck them all. That always believe the man over the woman. That's where she is landed. And by the way, while we're on the Candace O tip, as it were, that whole bullshit with Kanye West, his latest kerfuffle, he's always had issues, but this latest thing that basically bombed out his entire financial world and revealed all of his lunacy to the world in stark contrast. All of that shit started because Kando over here was courting him to buy Parler and talked him into wearing a White Lives Matter shirt. If you want to track back to the fucking collapse of his current empire and the hole he finds himself in, she's standing holding the rope to the trapdoor. She is. Because she was trying to get him to buy her husband's social media platform, or at least replace him as the investor, help him get out of it. So she was either using Kanye to do this, or they thought this is a good way to buy up. He's got lots more money than us, so we'll sell our stake to him, and that's how social media works. For the record, just saying. She was at the beginning of that. So I would say, if they have the internet in Romanian jail cells, I would say to Andrew Tate, A, fuck you, and B, whatever path she's laying out in front of you, run the other way.
Was alive. I believe he always communicated that, and he was always upfront, right?
I don't know. How much time did you spend at his Romanian sex dungeon? Just give me. I don't even need hours. We don't need a punch clock, but ballpark.
But when you decide to do that in Romania, the risk that you run is that it's Romania. And any day when the government realizes that you have money in Romania, if you are...
Yeah, that's what they were. Mm-hmm. It was just, they're just fleecing you. This is just, this is just a shakedown.
Flashing your wealth on the internet in the capacity that Andrew Tate flashes wealth on the internet, the government will make up charges to seize your wealth. And that is exactly what is happening to Andrew.
Well, if they're that corrupt, A, they don't have to, and B, they didn't make up charges. If anything, they dragged their feet.
Tate right now.
That's, anyways, isn't that marvelous? Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that beautiful? Isn't it just, isn't she lovely? And by the way, that is, yes, you are correct. That is Candace Owens, who is soundly in the Hitler did some things right camp. Yeah. So there's that. Isn't there? So now, anyways, now I'm going to, you're watching House Parks Megawordlwide. Hi, thanks for being here. Gather in, thumbs up, good times. We will be dealing with some of the classified document pushback. And can I say, I don't want to give away, I don't want to tell anything that's top secret, but if you look at the timeline and what the first 2 weeks in January, and I tweeted about this a little bit ago, the first 2 weeks in January are the year-long equivalent of Friday night, late on a Friday night news dumps. So if you're going to deal with a scandal that you want to be in the rearview mirror and it's nothing and you can actually solve it. If it's got legs, it doesn't matter when it comes out, you got to jump on it immediately. So this is how you know when something's bad or something that'll just be a nuisance. The first 2 weeks of January is when the nuisance stuff comes out. The bad stuff comes out whenever and wherever either you try and keep it out as long as possible, or you simply just blurt it all out and Eminem end of 8 Mile style. You handle it that way. That's how, if anybody who's ever seen one of those kind of like crisis PR firms, and thank God I've never needed one, but there's always hoping. I mean, it is the main way people become truly famous these days. Anyways, as they, this like story about the classified documents came out, the entire thing of it. Here's what we know so far, and then I'll save it. I'm going to save it. We'll go into that because it's important. Because I almost feel like I have to apologize for this next clip. I don't know what the hell. Can I just say, okay, Candace clearly kind of overdoing it with the filler, but nobody is going into Eric Bolling territory with the lip filler and the fucking whatever like this dude. I swear to God, even this fucker's face is a lie. Shadow Woman, thank you so much for the gifted subs. That's really lovely. Bless you. Oh, a big hug. Honestly, like I see him on camera and it skeeves me out. I gotta say, it's a little, it's fucking weird. It's weird. Look, I have nothing against people doing whatever maintenance they feel like on themselves. I hashtag age disgracefully. I don't care. However, that doesn't remove my ability to, when I see your brand new face, be immediately spooked and jump on a chair. That's up to me. You don't get an automatic pass when you're overdoing it that much. You just don't. Oh, Norman Fox, thank you so much. Yeah, he looks like someone from a 50s sitcom. Yes, but the balloon animals version. Sorry. Simon Cowell comes to mind. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Some of these people do this stuff. I'm obviously around a lot of actors and whatnot, and you do it, and then you take some time off, you let it fade, you give it a little time to settle in there. You don't just like race from the lip filler clinic straight to the nearest camera and go, look at, like Madonna, just like, look at my big balloon face. Like, it's not, I don't think that's the thing. I think we should all follow the Michelle Pfeiffer plan. Like, we all know she had something done, but we never saw it. He's battling with Guilfoyle. That's right. He and Guilfoyle are like fighting over a Juvederm needle. He's the Wish version of Clark Kent. That's harsh. So, like I said, I plead with anyone watching this broadcast, listen to your esthetician. If they say take some time off before you have some photographs taken, they are not fucking around. Yeah, he needs a bow tie that spins. He does look like the bank manager in an old like Beverly Hillbillies episode, doesn't he? You know, who's snarky and absurd. All right, anyways, this is him on this, because, turds of a feather, he's on War Room in studio. I mean, he might be CG. I don't believe anything this fucker says at this point. But this is, you guys know how much I love. He's winning me over right away. Look at this. Rep George Santos responds to the establishment's criticisms. I'm here to serve my constituency. Okay, first of all, the establishment of what? Reality? What establishment? That's like a flat earth defense. It has been established that he is not Jewish. It has been established that he never worked for Citigroup or Goldman Sachs. It has been established that his diplomas are fucking fake. It has been established he is not rich. It's also been established that his fucking last name isn't Santos. It's DeVolder. It's also been established. You want to know what else has been established? That he's wanted in Brazil. That's the establishment he's struggling with. Fucking hell, this dude. I can't wait.
So I join with you, and I join with my colleagues in saying that George Santos does not have the ability to serve here in the House of Representatives and should resign.
Oh, wait, Matt Gaetz is filling in? Where's Bannon? Does he have has he been served with a search warrant? Fuck, man. And it's only so perfect. That, Bannon, you fuck. We always know he fucks with his guests. He fucks, like, he thinks he's smarter than everyone, and he loves, like, needling the stupids that he thinks he has control over or fealty over. And Matt Gaetz' podcast or whatever, the Firebrand thing, is on Bannon's network. It started on that. Now it's on fucking RAV and fucking Mike Pillow pays for it or whatever the shit. But check this out. Apparently, it seems to be, and we'll see how this plays. Maybe Bannon phones in. But Bannon schedules Santos on and then makes Matt Gaetz fill in.
Go. We're back in the War Room. I'm Congressman Matt Gaetz. Stephen K. Bannon is on assignment. One thing.
Assignment. Let's see. A list of things he's not doing. Showering, shopping for deodorant, mouthwash, a new toothbrush, or a hairbrush. What he might be buying. Nix. The shampoo with the little comb.
Thing I know about this town, they come for the fighters. And
unlike Jim Jordan's town back home where they come on the wrestlers, and I mean, not if you ask him.
They are coming for George Santos.
Yeah, but he's not fighting for truth, justice, in the American. He's fighting with reality.
It's like nothing I've seen in quite some time. I could ask you what it's like to be an embattled congressman, but I kind of know a little bit about that.
And you'd probably lie anyways.
George,
you'd probably tell me it's fun, George. By the way, Your face! All right.
You've heard just there Congressman D'Esposito, your Republican colleague, calling for you to resign.
Yeah, and aren't you supposed to say our Republican colleague? You're a congressman too. I mean, we'll see.
Nick Langworthy also has your reaction.
You know, Matt, it's their prerogative. I came here to serve the people, not politicians and party leaders. And
yeah, which people in particular?
And I'm going to do just that. And I've been doing just that throughout this entire first 2 weeks, whether it was voting for the speaker or whether it's been the last week where we've been working on legislation in my office. So, you know.
Yeah. Yep. Raise your hand if you think he was actually working on legislation. Uh-huh. What do you mean? Working on reading it?
I wish well all of their opinions, but I was a
You wish well all of their opinions. Yes, I hope their opinions meet someone and settle down and have a nice meal and get all cozy and raise a couple of little opinions of their own.
elected by 142,000 people. Until those same 142,000 people tell me they don't want me, we'll find out in 2 years.
Well, I got news for you. It doesn't have to be the same 142,000. It could be 142,000 people in your district. And also, if they do a recall, it doesn't matter which ones if the numbers don't go your way. You fucking weirdo.
What do those 142,000 people deserve in a representative?
They
Yeah, tell us. Certainly not truth.
deserve somebody who's going to come here and fight and not get involved with the media nonsense that we're seeing.
Fight? I'm sorry. You mean legislate and debate and talk? You know, yeah. But again, you're talking to Firebrand in a, is that a zip-up raincoat? I guess it is windy outside.
Take place, right? Look, a lot of people are saying that I am unable to govern, I'm unable to deliver. But in the meantime, my office and my staff, we've been able to jump on co-sponsoring legislation such as term limits, which you spoke about earlier.
Oh my God. What was it like fighting to get to be a co-sponsor because you were told by your caucus that's how you do it? What was the fight like? Did you have to like wrestle the pen out of somebody else's hand while you're trying to co-sponsor it? Is there an anti-sponsor who's like got you in a headlock? Tell me the whole story about the fight you went through to co-sponsor a bill. Is that what working with legislation means? Let me explain to you what he did. He added his name to a stack of other names that he was told to add his name to by people who said, if you add your name to it, it's a good thing. Yeah, honest to God. And by the way, also co-sponsoring a bill that has no chance of passing, even if Republicans own the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Yeah, he fought crawling through, he Shawshank Redemptioned his way across a minefield of political landmines and pushing dead bodies of fallen comrades out of the way so he could slide up on a hill and go, I co-sponsor a bill that's going to die in the House. Get the fuck out of here.
You know, there's not a lot of people running to jump on this, specifically the ones criticizing me. They want to stay here forever. I don't want to stay here forever.
It's not. I got news for you, dude. It's not going to be a problem. and term limits will have nothing to do with it, except for at a certain point, there's a limit to your term.
I want to come here, do the best I can with the time I have, and deliver for the American people.
Yeah, he realizes it's not. The window is closing.
And that's going to be through fighting crime, inflation, and whatnot.
Oh, great. Now he blows his secret identity. Now everybody knows he's actually flat man, and he fights crime by sliding in between criminals and their victims and going, excuse me, I can beat you up. Just believe it.
That's what they elected me to do, and that's what I'm going to give them.
Well, no, they elected someone else. They elected who you pretended to be. To be completely frank, they didn't elect him. They elected some sort of like an inflatable like yard dummy in front of a fucking car lot. He's flat. He's ringworm man. He's flatworm man.
You have admitted embellishing your resume.
Yes, embellishing. Yeah, which is just, I mean, what is that really? But just making it better. Is it so wrong? Is it so wrong? Isn't that what America is about? Taking what you are and making it look better, putting a spit shine on it.
Acknowledged it. You've apologized for it. Some have said that you shouldn't be seated on committees for it. I would offer that if we didn't seat people on committees who embellished their resume running for Congress, we probably wouldn't be able to make quorum in any of
That's so true, and especially in the Republican Party. I was talking to my friend Jeff Greenberg. No, I'm sorry. Anyways, you were
those
saying
committees. Do you now have?
He is a good host. You're right. You know what you guys were saying. He looks a little tired. He's a little he's not very sharp. He's not good at responding to questions. Even if he has a list of them in front of him, he's going to flounder. And I was like, yeah, I don't know.
Have a sense of the committees you want to serve on, the type of work you want to do.
Oh boy, here it comes. Let me guess. I want access to top secret intel. I want to be involved in anything that involves real estate. And of course, it wouldn't be bad to join you on the committee for missing and exploited children.
I came to D.C. without really any preconceived notions of.
Great. Cool. Thanks. Way to have a plan, fucker. I mean, perfect Republican. I came here not knowing what the fuck to expect. And I still don't know. I don't even know how long I'm going to be here.
What committees to serve, but whether what I can give to the American people. Whatever committee I'm given, whether it's, I don't know, science and technology or education and labor or whatever committee is thrown my way.
Yeah. Lying and obfuscation.
Will deliver 110% because that's.
All right, that's already a lie. You can't do more than 110%. It's just you can't even give 20%, people. 80% is resolved just in you carrying on regular life, having relationships and cleaning yourself and brushing your teeth and eating and sleeping. That's 80% of your life. You only have 20% left over to give the rest of the world. I don't want to hear anybody saying I'm going to give 100% because you have 20% left to give. Knock it the fuck off. And you certainly aren't giving 110% or 100 and plus anything.
That's what I know how to do. I'm going to outwork any of the pundits and talking heads that are out there saying that I should resign, that I'm unfit for office.
Well, they don't do the same work. You do realize that. And right now, the work they're doing is looking into your background and going, oh, look, more bullshit. That's funny. All right.
Reality is,
Oh, please don't tell us about reality.
The case in point here being is, I'm a workhorse. I've worked my whole life. I'm the kid who came from a basement apartment.
You weren't supposed to win this seat.
I was not supposed to win this seat.
No, as a matter of fact, the guy you pretended to be won, and
this was a seat that a lot of folks looked at and said, definitely going Democrat. Republicans, gosh, Santos ran last time. We'll send him to run this time. And you surprised a lot of people.
All the people calling me to resign, I beat them by double their margins in the victory.
No. Because large swaths of the Republican base in that district didn't run for anything ever. They're just voters.
Because I outworked every single one of them.
No, you outlied every single one of them. Had they known that was what the rules were, man, I bet they're kicking themselves right now. Why didn't I just claim to be a 4-star general with an arm I lost in the war? And who's a millionaire, a billionaire, who I own Mar-a-Lago. Why didn't we all just run on a fucking John Lovitz character ticket? That's I did Morgan Fairchild. Yeah, that's a ticket. Which, by the way, is a bit he stole from Michael Keaton's stand-up. You're welcome.
Embellishing one's resume isn't a crime. It's frankly how a lot of people get to Congress,
And this is Matt Gaetz signing off on lying to your constituents to get elected. That's it. That is, look at him looking right at the camera, realizing, fuck, this is being taped. Okay.
We want everyone to be honest. And again, you've acknowledged
not everyone. You didn't want him to be honest.
That, and you're working for it going forward.
You're working for it going forward. You're going to keep trying to stop saying the stuff that you lied about, that it isn't a lie after you lied again, right?
One of the principal critiques I've heard is that a lot of money was donated to your campaign by you, $700,000, I believe. Where did it come from?
Well, I'll tell you where it didn't come from. It didn't come
And by the way, I don't need receipts. You guys need receipts? I don't need to see this on paper. We're just going to take his word for it.
from China, Ukraine, or Burisma. How about that?
So it came from Russia, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, that is an answer.
Yeah, that's not an answer. That leaves a lot of room. By the way, the notice how he didn't say Italy. He didn't bring up Italy. Why didn't he bring up Italy? Well, it turns out Italy. Italy's one of those words where you can just say it over and over again, and it gets more musical the more you say it. That an Italian relative of some of his other donors donated a bunch of money to his campaign, and that guy was arrested for lost his resident alien visa in the United States, was arrested for smuggling Chinese people and Cubans into Florida. That guy's state. That's right. This guy, one of his big donors, is a foreign national, that's illegal, who was smuggling Chinese people into his state. Okay. Just to clarify. It's important.
So, I mean, I also put money into my campaign when I ran. I had to sell some of the property that I had acquired in my life in order to
Acquired. Where'd you acquire it, Matt? Where'd you acquire it? Oh, from your dad.
fund something that I really believed in. And, you know, when I was raising money for different charities, I always tried to put my own money in first.
Yeah. So that's one of the other ways that you break with Trump, I guess. No? And I'm sure this is true. I'm sure this, guys, do we have to even look it up? I mean,
And so, you know, when you donated that money to your campaign,
yeah, it was just charity. It's a form of like self-charity. And I think we can all should be a little more charitable with ourselves in this crazy, mixed up, mad world.
is there anything else you can say about the work you did that was the
Is there anything you could say about actually where the money did come from? Because that was the fucking question, you cretin with hot dog lips.
origin of those resources?
Look, I've worked my entire life. I've lived an honest life. I've never been accused, sued of any bad doing. So
Bad doings. I don't know if that's a crime. Maybe that's why he stated it that way. I have never been accused of any bad doings. Okay. Telling a Jewish organization that you are a proud American Jew is bad doings. I would even say it's bad Jewins. If you were Jewish, actually, and you aren't. And secondly, yes, you have. You're being accused right now of multiple serious campaign finance, and which will, by the way, no doubt find seeds of regular finance crimes. Jesus Christ. Bad doings. Nobody's ever come after me for the bad doings.
It was the origin of those resources.
look, I've worked my
What was the origin of those resources? Take it away, Mr. Bad Doings.
entire life. I've lived an honest life. I've never been accused, sued of any bad doing. So, you know, it's the equity of my hard-working self, and I've invested.
The equity of my hard-working self. Did it come from salary or investments or the sale of a company? Real simple fucking question. Or did you inherit it? Which one? Or did perhaps you found a goose that laid golden eggs? This motherfucker.
Inside of me, like I said, didn't come from Burisma. It didn't come from Ukraine, Russia, China, unlike some folks that we all know that get money from those sources.
Inside
Like who? Because, again, didn't mention the Italian.
the Beltway of Washington, there's such
This is such a fucked up place, which is why I spend most of my time here. Even though, obviously I represent a district in in Florida. My dad was big in state politics, and that's why I ran. And it's really important that I could have done local politics. I could have run for governor or whatever, but that would have meant staying in Florida. Meanwhile, up here, am I right?
A media tornado, and
it is. It's almost like the American people like to pay attention to what their government is doing. Isn't that fucked? How dare we? You know what? I blame me. You know what? And chat room, it's your fucking fault. You know what? You share some of this blame. Just because we want to know what bills are being passed and what's going on in our government and who's committing what crime. How dare we? I'm ashamed of myself. I'm shutting the show down. That's it. By the way, that's the end. I can't do it anymore. I like that. I'm kidding, of course. I feel I'm back. I thought it over, and I mean, I think you guys are still culpable, but I feel okay about myself. It's you guys that want everybody, the fucking press to crawl up their keister with a microscope. It's shame on you.
And there are moments where,
yes, in many ways, Matt Gaetz and George Santos are our Harry and Meghan.
Where you think all people are worried about is like, what's the new big thing in Washington? But
yeah, it's like so fucking, I'm so tired that I'm realizing in the middle of this that Bannon dropped this bullshit in my lap. Let's understand. The greatest thing about this stupid, asinine, bullshit, low-res Tucker apology tour. Remember when Matt Gaetz went on Tucker? Santos is on War Room with Matt Gaetz. That's how fucking down the totem pole this bullshit is. But the best thing about it, the best thing is that fucking Bannon somehow tricked or made Matt Gaetz do this interview for him.
I'm wondering, like, when you hear from constituents back home, what are...
And wherever home is, it might be Brazil, it might be another state. Who fucking knows at this point?
What are their challenges? What are the things that are concerning?
What's important to them? What do they really want? Because I don't talk to mine. I don't know what the fuck they're on
the
about.
People who need a strong representative for them in Congress.
You know, we're fielding calls in the office already. People are...
Are you? Already? Wow. Who's we? Oh, you mean your staff? People are calling? The phone's ringing, is it? Is it people just go like, hello, Representative Santos? Yes, fuck you, resign. I can, yes, he's heard, he's gotten that one already. Thank you very much. Representative Santos, fuck you, resign. Okay, sorry, thank you. Okay, 1 second. Fuck you, resign. I'm sorry, George Santos' offices? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. And what? The horse he rode in. I see. Okay. Well, I don't think he has a horse, but he'd probably tell you if he did, if he didn't. I'm kidding. That's fine. Hello? I'm sorry. George Santos' office. Fuck you, resign. Okay, I'll tell him. Thank you. Click. Like that fielding calls live from fucking Santos' office. We're doing stuff. What I've learned about Washington, D.C. at this point. There's a lot of stuff going on. Busy. I thought it'd be a lot more steak dinners and cigars, honestly. I'm a little disappointed. Busy. Phone's always ringing. There's a fax machine. I haven't seen one of those in years. Yes, I have. I'm sorry. I should be more honest now. I've learned my lesson. I invented the fax machine.
Asking for as simple as White House tour tickets, which...
Thank you for coming to George Santos's... I'm here to give you a tour of the White House. I know what you're thinking. This doesn't look like the White House. It looks like a parking garage in Baltimore, Maryland, but you couldn't be more wrong. Now, right over here is the Lincoln bedroom. I know it looks like a parking space, but it isn't. And that'll be $2,500 a pop, please. Look at this asshole. We're doing all kinds of work. I co-sponsored some bills, and people are asking for tours of the Capitol.
Which we've already engaged with the White House liaison. We are requesting passport issues, and then all the way to an issue that's very near and dear in my community, which is we have an organized crime that's taking car jackings and thefts to a whole new level in my...
Oh, boy. And are you not getting your cut, or...
district, which is it's plaguing a very specific wealthy part of my district.
Oh, okay. So obviously, do they have their own line to you? Yeah, it's obviously not a landline. They have your cell, I would guess.
Old Westbury, Brookville, Upper Brookville.
Yeah. No, I mean, nobody carjacks the cheap shit cars on the other side of town.
And it's an interstate faction of folks who they steal the cars from my district, take them all the way to New Jersey and Elizabeth.
Yeah, that's new. When did that shit start? 1971. Good God.
To the ports, put them on ships, and send.
Victor Vekselberg, one of Putin's wealthiest and most influential. Yeah, Victor Vekselberg is one of the people who's donating to him. But then we looked at the Dino, what's his name? The guy the Italian human trafficker he got cash from. This is just going to be fun to watch. By the way, all the Santos thing, like I want you, my viewers, because I love you. I want you to any sort of tightness you feel when you see this dumb fuck and you're like, oh, that's wrong, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, let that go. Let that go. There are real things and real challenges in the world, and George Santos isn't one of them. This is just entertainment. This guy's rise and fall will be a cartoonish blip in politics. And his actually being there will amount to a fucking hill of beans, and his demise will be hilarious to watch. I'm just saying. Please enjoy. Like, literally, there should be nothing on your fucking shoulders when you watch this dickhead. I know, like, Matt Gaetz, that could be a little like, fuck that dude. But this guy...
Send them overseas, right? We can't
It's MS-13 principally doing this, right?
Okay. This is how it works. MS-13 is stealing rich people's cars, driving them to New Jersey, and then shipping them overseas. And... I always thought that all they did was like slaughter people and cut them up with knives. Is that what they do? They steal rich people's cars and then they cut them with knives because it's more painful?
It's actually not. In this case...
Yeah, it didn't... You know, Matt, I thought that immediately too. I was like, you know, this has all the makings of a violent Mexican meth gang. And then I was like, it caught me off guard.
It's not MSN13. It's been identified.
It is not MSN13. It's not even MSNBC. It's
identified that they're a Chilean.
Chileans. Oh my God. What planet are they from? Chileans. Look at the wince on. Look at the wince on his face when he says Chileans. Oh God, he's like, this motherfucker's making it up right in front of me. Chileans. Woo.
And send them overseas, right? We can't.
It's MS-13 principally doing this, right?
It's actually not. In this case, it's not MSN13. It's been identified that they're a Chilean gang. The police commissioner.
It's made up mostly of Chihuahuas. Chileans. Oh God. And I was mistaken about Matt's face. Matt's face is not, oh God, he said Chileans. His face actually says Chileans. I knew that. Microsoft Network 13. It's the entire thing is run by Windows 11. The brain trust. Oh God. Shit. Can we please watch that again? It's MSNBC.
Faction of folks who they steal the cars from my district, take them all the way to New Jersey and Elizabeth to the ports, put them on ships and send them overseas, right? We can't.
It's MS-13 principally doing this, right?
It's actually not. In this case, it's not MSN13. It's been identified that
it is not MSN13. That's totally different group.
They're a Chilean gang.
That's a group of Chinese aliens, and they're from the planet China, not to be confused with actual Chinese humans.
Police commissioner is rendered useless the moment they cross into New York City. The police commissioner of New York City is rendered useless the moment they cross over to the George Washington Bridge into Jersey. So it's like really an FBI requirement.
So interstate car theft rings that are shipping things over you're under the opinion that the FBI is not aware of such things. Okay, how does this work now? But have you thought about maybe briefing them? I bet you know what? I can't even look who I'm talking to. He taught a course at Quantico.
To get involved in this because of the multi-jurisdictions that it covers, but nobody's doing anything about it. And
Nobody, not a person. They're helping, actually.
I'm here trying to figure out a way to get this solved. The amount of constituents of mine that are plagued by this issue.
Yeah, they keep buying the same car over and over again, and it disappears, and they keep getting their insurance money, and they keep going, God damn it. I'm starting to, wait a minute.
Whether they're coming home from a restaurant and being followed at gunpoint at their driveway,
I'm just saying, to me, if you're driving down the street and there's someone behind you and they're holding a gun on you, and you're not their Uber driver, I don't know. If you're in the car ahead of them, I would not drive straight home. I would drive to a police station and go right into the parking lot. All right.
This is a real issue in the 3rd Congressional District. And
It totally is. It is the issue. My wealthy car owners are that's the priority. That and White House tours. And I co-sponsored something.
Nobody wants to talk about it. Local leadership.
I don't want to. You're right. I don't want to talk about it. Can we stop talking about it? I mean, it's just that I'm afraid the Chilanians will hear me.
Just too worried about getting reelected so that they can keep the power grab on the taxpayer dollar jobs. And I'm
what?
Here actually trying to fight for the local people.
The local rich people, but sure.
Absurdity of saying that George Santos we're going to redirect the constituents' requests to another members of Congress's office instead of mine. That's absurd and it's illegal.
No, it isn't. It happens occasionally, especially when somebody has to step down because they're in the middle of an ethics probe or they're being charged with a crime. Especially if it's a neighboring district. I mean, you could solve this by stepping down immediately and they could put somebody in, and then they could hold a special election, and you could run again with them knowing everything. All right.
I'm here to serve any member of local government that wants to say.
By the way, I know this is a side note, but I think very important. Donald Trump and this fuck are constantly talking about how if people had known about Hunter Biden's laptop in October of 2020, then they wouldn't have voted for Joe Biden, and therefore he is illegitimate for that reason. Meanwhile, this motherfucker lied about everything about himself. Nothing to do with his kid, not to do with side businesses, any of that. Himself. He just lied about who he was. And they're like, the man deserves to be seated. He took the oath. He's got 2 years to serve. And we need to honor that for the people that voted him in. Fuck you.
They're not going to work with my office. You're doing a disservice to the American people, to the taxpayer. I'm here willing, ready, and able to work, and I will work for the American people in the district.
Well, if people
not all of them, obviously,
don't have physical security, it's hard to get almost anything else done.
Yeah, I mean, these people can't even drive in their super expensive cars without MS-13 2.0 beta jumping out of a window and snatching their car and selling it to Chilanians.
And it's one of the reasons why a lot of New Yorkers are coming to the Sunshine State. Are you concerned?
No. No, they aren't. First of all, they go down there to retire. Secondly, the ones that left and went to other states in the last couple of years left because of COVID and the fact that they were living in a big city during a pandemic. They all fucked off. The same number went to fucking middle of nowhere states or went back to live with their fucking parents, because why would you pay $3,000 for a month for an apartment the size of a postage stamp and when you can't actually go anywhere?
About New York depopulating because people don't feel safe?
I lost a lot of constituents in my district during the 2020 coronavirus shutdowns, and then
yes, I think that might have to do with the dude you voted for president.
During this plague of people just running away from the Hochul situation over there. So it's just been absolutely crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And now the FBI won't even, because they're mad at me, just because I'm J. Edgar Hoover's nephew, They're angry and upset. Okay? I guess.
The Democrats cannot stand that Republicans did so well in New York. They really can't. And as we evaluate...
Oh my God, I have to laugh. I'm laughing like crying. It's so fun of you to bring that up right now because I did so well, and you know what? I thought it would be good. I didn't know it would be this good.
You have to wonder whether or not these other Republicans are just the next ones. They come for you, and then they're going to come. Isn't the New York Times going to come for every one of these Republicans before it's over?
Every last
No. And by the way, if they might come for them for other shit they've done, but this is, the human shielding right here is next level. This fucker basically saying, if they can do this to me, they can do it. No, motherfucker, they're not lying the way you are. They didn't make up who they are. Yeah. There's nothing comparable. Every one of them, even ones that might have shit to deal with, you're like crazy over the top criminal level of lying is so fucking out there that it makes any of their small time graft look like nothing by comparison. If anything, they're grateful that you're taking all the heat. Good Lord.
one of them. I just pray for all of you when they come for you that you have the same strength I have.
Yes, the strength of George Herbert Walker Eisenhower Floyd Santos. And obviously you won't, because I do deflect bullets, and I may look like I'm made of marzipan, but let me tell you, I got a heart of steel. And with friends like Matt Gaetz that allow me to come over to his house anytime, even without knocking, burst in and start filming the place, I think I'm unstoppable in this town. And it's people like him who've whispered things to me that I wish I could share with you, and I might at some future time, that really set both of us apart, I think, as people who are, as real men who, both of us gold medalists, who can share so much. And I want to tell you that I'm going to help you with that thing you asked me about your buddy who just went to jail in Florida. And we're going to work through that. And
George Santos responding exclusively on the War Room. Thanks for being here. Thanks for answering the tough questions.
Yeah, he didn't, dummy.
And we wish you well.
Yeah, we totally wish you well, whoever you are. Who are you?
Fighting against those Chilean gangs terrorizing your...
Excuse me, Chilean. You're not going to lay this at the feet of people who live in Chile. You're not going to do it. These are Chileans. They're a whole different breed. Their legs are longer. They have bigger ears. They have a tendency towards slobber, but they're hypoallergenic. So a lot of people appreciate them as pets. Little do they know they steal cars, but only really nice cars. So if you want a really nice car and a really fun pet, can I interest you in a brand new Chilean? Fucking hell.
Constituents.
Oh God. Keep polishing that turd, Matt. Whew. Speaking of turd polishing, by the way, welcome. You're watching House Barks Megawordlwide. We're having some fun tonight. We really are. We're gonna have some fun tonight. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give a thumbs up. Welcome. Thank you. There are dumb voices. There are willfully ignorant voices, and then there are a Gordian knot of the two, like the Mess D'Souza. And you guys know, as a lifetime cynophiliac, and having traveled extensively to China, having friends there, and many friends in Taiwan as well, which is another country. Remember, kids, Taiwan 是一个国家. And my kind of personal experience, of giving a shit about the people and the culture. I'm always interested when people are going to give us an inside scoop especially people who've never been there, and other people who went there a long time ago and haven't been since before, say, Xi Jinping was in charge, and think it's the same thing. That those kind of people, you guys know, if my hackles, my conkles, it gets them all percolating. I don't know. It just makes me start going it makes me like when they come on television, it makes me like grip the table. Remember in The Big Lebowski when Philip Seymour Hoffman, bless his ever-loving heart, rest his soul, is walking Jeffrey Lebowski down the wall of pictures, and there's the footprint and there's the picture of the kids, and Lebowski touches it and he goes, "Please don't touch that." And Lebowski does it again, and you see Philip Seymour Hoffman does the most tasteful, hilarious, wonderful thing, and I watch it again, and you will enjoy it with a renewed vigor. He goes like that right as he touches it because he doesn't want to tell him again, but he's like, "Please don't touch that," like that, and it's so good. It's so he cares, and he doesn't like that. Oh, that's what I feel like when dickheads like this come on and start talking to us about China, and especially this. Yes, John Cena. Fucking hell. No, I can't have John Cena. We jokingly call him John Sheena because of his tap dancing for the CCP that he did. Woof. Anyways, he's making up for it, and otherwise a lovely person. Hopefully he's learned his lesson, and I look forward to John Cena being an ambassador for tourism in Taiwan. That would be nice. I would like to see that. I think that would be a great thing. It would, by the way, it would make heads spin in China, and Chinese people all around the world who don't live in China would applaud it greatly. I'm just saying. Just a tip to the Sheena out there. All right, anyways, this is first, how the Chinese threat is more menacing than anything we faced from the old Soviet Union. Well, besides the fact that, there was no AI or robots or cyber attacks really during that period that had any measure. Oh, God. If he just lists a bunch of things that are only true because the calendar moves forward, I might have to. All right, I'm trying to hold it together. Jesus. All right, here we go. This is Frank Gaffney from the Center for Security Policy. Let's see.
Founder, executive chairman of the Center for Security Policy, website centerforsecuritypolicy.org.
So it's a communist organization. They're not even interested in making money. They're probably linked to the Chinese. What are you doing in the mess?
Frank, when you and
Org. Get out of here. That sounds like organic.
I were in the Reagan years, there was a kind of clear framework, the Cold War framework, which divided the world by and large into the free world and broadly the Soviet orbit. And
you guys get that? Thanks for the history lesson, the mess. That's, which is different from, so we didn't have any factories in Russia, so in the Soviet Union, so it was different.
And since then, there hasn't been an equally kind of easy way to think about the threats that America faces.
Right. Yeah. The mess likes things to be in kind of stark, color forms, like differences. So they, very black and white, so he understands what the fuck is going on. Complex issues, they bedazzle him.
At one point, it seemed around 9/11, it was, resurgent radical Islam, for example. Now, where do you...
And unfortunately for the mess, that didn't last. They tried. They dragged it out as long as they could.
How do you think about the world today? Do you think...
I use my brain, the mess.
That there is a kind of axis of evil developing with perhaps China and Iran or the radical Muslims, and then maybe Russia. Are we looking at those powers kind of allying with each other? And
Yes. And if they all do what they all do best, we're all screwed. No, we can just kind of roast marshmallows on the crater they create.
creating a formidable new threat to the United States? Or do you think that our biggest threats are not in any of those places, but actually come from within the United States?
Yeah, it's mostly the woke thing. I think it'd be trans rights activists. I mean, sure, China steals $1 billion worth of intellectual property every single day, but it's really, I mean, have you seen libraries lately? I mean, I don't go in them because, books.
United States.
Oh, great question. Let me back the
No, it's not a great question. It's a silly question.
lens up just for a minute because you've introduced the Cold War, which was a formative experience for both of us.
Yes, both of you seem stuck in it and unable to understand anything deeper than they go boom if we go boom, and if we go boom, they go boom, and nobody should go boom.
In 1991, the then General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party, Deng Xiaoping, observed what was happening in the Soviet Union, thanks to our old boss Ronald Reagan's deliberate efforts and strategy for destroying.
By the way, of using American debt to outrun the Soviets. Just saying. For all the debt hawks that have suddenly shown up in the Republican ranks.
What he called the evil empire. Deng said, the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union is over. The Soviet Union has lost. A new Cold War is beginning between the United States and China will win. And he set in train what came to be called the hide and bide strategy. And by that he meant, we will profess for the consumption of the United States, most especially in the West more generally, to be interested in just being another partner in the international community.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, he was lucky enough that they started this thing back when Nixon was in office. Never mind.
And we will use what resources we can get them to give us, technology and financing and other forms of support and legitimacy, to prepare for the day when we will destroy the West and we will rule the world. And that has contributed, I think, materially.
Look at the mess. It's like, wait a minute. You mean Trump shouldn't have had all of his ties made there? Oh, God. I've been living a lie.
To the lack of clarity about the kind of crisis that we now face.
Bullshit. Nonsense. Okay, so the real trap pull came right before Xi took over, and that in and of itself was a signal from the Chinese Communist Party that they were moving into a different era, because they thought they had enough technology that they would no longer need the West. And they didn't understand that the technology we've moved into has a lot to do with like updating stuff constantly. But they decided, fuck it, we have enough. And with this, we can build our own shit. And if we stack it out 20 years, we can start moving away from the West and isolate ourselves, and then eventually control the resource-rich areas of the world, namely Africa. That was the plan. So, but previous to that, there was this kind of, there was a cooperative theory that Bretton Woods and the exchange with the West was the way that they were eventually going to get rich before they got old. And Xi Jinping and the people around him thought, oh, we're rich already, not realizing that they had built most of their wealth on caverns of fucking debt and borrowed or stolen technology. And so they're like, we can cut the cord now and we'll be fine. This is a relatively new change in the CCP's philosophy, and it's part of Xi Jinping's idea about the 50-year strategy that he was putting forward and all that shit. What he's talking about is kind of is more, quite frankly, like the Japanese early Japanese theory post World War II, and the U.S.'s tug and pull with industry and government in a communist country.
Yes, from within, but also from the quarters that you've mentioned.
Yes, so we're surrounded. I want you to know that you trust no one. Invasion of the body snatchers, especially if they're Chinese.
Most especially the Chinese Communist Party. Never in this.
Let's see, hold on. I had a conversation today, and actually I was feeling a tiny bit smart, well-informed, and then Hal shows up with his big brain and makes me feel like I'm in kindergarten, soaking it up like a sponge. Oh, well, you're very welcome, Water Goddess. I'm very happy to be of service.
This nation's history. Never, I would argue, in the history of the world.
Nonsense. Ask the Romans, or the Greeks, or the Vikings, or the fucking Neanderthals.
There's been a more dangerous power than that of the Chinese Communist Party. And in part, that's because of that lack of clarity and because of all of the help that we've given them. And by the way, that we are continuing to give them.
No, we're not.
By some estimates, Dinesh, $3 to $6 trillion has been transferred by Wall Street, what China calls their old friends there, from American investors, mostly unwittingly. Pension funds, 401k plans, mutual funds.
Yes, nod. Keep nodding, Dinesh. By the way, the U.S. economy is around $26 trillion a year. The Goldman Sachs, by itself, listen to me now. Hear me now and listen to me. Every single day, somewhere in the order of $5 trillion worth of exchanges go through the computer systems and the exchanges in Goldman Sachs. 5 trillion a fucking day. So and by the way, a country with at one point 1 billion people, now it's way lower, even lower than they're telling you. With that many fucking people in it, with $6 trillion spread all over the fucking place, it goes really fucking thin, really fast. The vast majority of the the people in China make less than $400 a month, and the rest of them make over. If you make $400 a month, you're in the poverty level in China. If you make $401, you're magically out. There is no transition. You just are rich now. And again, this asshole is talking in like 1982 terms.
Funds, index funds, exchange traded funds.
And they're all getting the fuck out.
The Chinese Communist parties.
And again, no, to the companies that they have control. But it's not what you got, it's what you do with it, dumbass. They got the funds, and then they burned them. Jesus Christ. Okay, let me show you this. Remember, again, this is, I'm a big fan of oh my God, China's going to eat our lunch horse shit. Give me 1 second, if I may. Where's there we go, search. Let's see. I gotta get the latest. I'm trying to find the latest stuff. Most of the stuff I'm finding. I'll just go look up. We'll go with China economy. The economic numbers over there are. Let's see. Here you go. This is the they always softball it, but this will give it to you. Here you go. China looking less desirable to investors. Okay, first of all, if you move in when growth is heavy and you cash out as it's going down, you've made money and you're done. Right now, it's a matter of, for China, whether or not that money goes in and goes somewhere. The problem is it's going to patch the holes that were created over the last 10 years especially. And the COVID one is particularly bad. Goldman Sachs Investment Strategy Group, oh look, advised consumer and wealth management clients last month to carefully reassess their strategic allocation to Chinese assets, as well as exposure to countries and companies with significant exports to China. Yeah, it's going down. Demographics have deteriorated faster than expected, while reshoring and nearshoring of manufacturing away from China is picking up momentum, Goldman's report notes. Unquestionably true. China was already painted into a demographic corner as far as birth rates and deaths, and not only did the one-child policy fuck the entire thing into a cocked hat, but they painted themselves into a corner with zero COVID, and then Omicron came along, and their Sinovax that they were using was only for the wild type, and people are dying like fucking crazy. They're losing 1 million people. And then they were laughing at people in the West about long COVID is going to kneecap the West, and we're going to be sitting pretty. They were just saying that on Chinese media. They were essentially laughing at the fact that COVID would be crippling Americans and Europeans and Africans and whatever going forward with long COVID, so they would lose their productivity, they'd all have mind fog, and they'd all be weakened and unable to do any material work. Meanwhile, China, with its zero COVID policy, would rush in and be the most prosperous country in the world. And they proceeded to step on the biggest COVID rake ever, and about 1 million people are in the process of dying right now. Right this second. And by the way, some of that wealth, these are older people a lot of times, will get passed on immediately to their sons largely. And you know what's going to happen to that money that their parents, when they die of COVID, all of a sudden, what little money they have in savings, which, the Chinese saving rate is higher than most other countries in the world. You know where it's going to go? It's going to go to pay debts on property they bought that doesn't exist. Tell me about it. Tell me how that's a country on the march. It's fuck.
Various companies. That has enabled, I believe, this threat to be made as formidable as it is, and
it isn't.
Become more so, including the threat now of kinetic warfare against.
Okay. Again, I want to say there are 11. No, there are 15 supercarriers in the whole world. America has 11 of them. China has 2, and 1 used to be a hotel. They don't have any planes that can take off from it. An aircraft carrier, and none of your planes are designed to take off from an aircraft carrier. Also, they run on diesel engines and can't go more than 500 miles from shore without having to be refueled. With all of those resources and all of those people and the fuck all attitude towards environmental damage caused by the mining of steel and the creating of industry and that kind of, they don't give a rat fuck about any of that stuff, and they still only manage that. And meanwhile, they're having fist fights with India on the Chinese, on the top corner of Tibet. I wonder if Dinesh knows about that. He's been to India a couple times, I think.
Against us and our friends. And they're doing it in concert, as you say, with Russia.
Okay, this is going to drive me fucking crazy. I'm getting, okay, I pointed this out earlier. This is I think this might be one of my favorite fucking pieces of stuff that came up around. Let's see, I gotta scroll back through it. I'm finding it. Hold on. Okay, yeah, here it is. This shit. Check this out. I tweeted about this earlier. Russia doesn't have the tech to make their own tires, and this is what happens to brand new tires imported from China in Yakutsk, Russia, in negative 35 degrees Celsius temperatures. 8 tires failed on the first truck, 7 on the second, and multiple on all other trucks. You know why 8 of them failed on the first truck? Because it was the one that was in the cold the longest. As these things continue down the road, they will just crack. They're shit. That's your backup? Now, the tread designs that are used on these tires are basically graphically copied from, Firestone or any other, industrial tires made in the West. They just make the design look exactly like it. They buy a tire, measure it, copy it, and that's enough. But how the rubber is treated and all the processes that go into it so that your tires don't crack or go flat when it gets cold, especially when it's that fucking cold, it's fucking science, kid. Look at this shit. And this part of Russia, negative 35 degrees Celsius. I'm surprised that dude's fingers are out just in, where the environment can touch them. Yeah, that one failed. This one failed. So, again, you guys know I hate the doom sprayers, but in this particular instance, fuck, man, this guy is the most interesting thing, and this seems to be a regular occurrence. But the most interesting thing about these particular doom spraying China hawks is that they, in a lot of ways, in all their talk about China being this formidable foe and doing all this stuff, then in many ways they sound more like a propagandist than someone who's warning of a danger. This is the kind of shit the CCP wants spouted with regularity. That China's going to eat your lunch narrative. Which, by the way, is nowhere fucking close to true. It's hilarious garbage. It's the absurdity of it, and it's getting worse all the time because of Xi Jinping's leadership. My heart is with the Chinese people who are under this fucking moron, but he is single-handedly taking a relatively shit hand that he got and is betting everything on. He's all in on the dumbest hand in the world. And dickheads like this, with their fear-mongering about this, it really does prop up the Chinese government more than it deserves.
With Iran, with North Korea, and
You mean North Korea's fucking empty rockets? How many times? I mean, we hear about ballistic missiles all the fucking time. And sure, if they have a nuclear power plant, maybe they can make the stuff. But maybe they try to launch it and it blows a fucking hole in their country because it's dangerous shit. But again, insofar as what you and I've seen for the last 15 fucking years out of North Korea is them launching tin cans in the air and them landing in the sea near Japan. Nobody is recovering these things and coming back to the world and going, hey, we got that, that rocket that landed in the water. Yeah, it was in our territory, so we went and scooped it up. It's just it's a couple of garbage cans duct taped together.
now, unfortunately, thanks to something else that we financed, their so-called Belt and Road Initiative.
We didn't finance the Belt and Road Initiative. China barely funded the fucking Belt and Road Initiative.
A whole host of other countries.
Look at Dinesh trying to fit this shit into his brain. It's like watching him play Pong.
Is that they've essentially colonized and are now building infrastructure from which to project power.
Not now. They've been doing it for a long time. We're at the biting them in the ass part of it. We're well past the BRI is starting to build shit.
So just to conclude, that is the mortal threat, what our boss Ronald Reagan would call the existential threat to freedom of our time. I believe it's the worst in history, and we must be aware of it, clear-eyed about it, and addressing it as such. And we have to understand that, yes, there is an enemies within this country piece of it. that we have to attend to as well, that is enabling this threat from outside.
Yes, like you. By playing it up bigger than it is and insisting on this like absurd mythology around it, which again, it sounds like you're paid to say.
And is arguably making our situation vastly more perilous than, again, ever in our history.
No. I'm sorry, but having been all over China, and granted, there were places that these were places that I was only allowed to go because they let me. Even in those places, I saw so much fabricated technology and fake bullshit. And when I say fabricated, I mean made up, non-functioning, goofy levels of pretend technology that work really well when you're bringing a bunch of suits through from African countries or even from the WHO or some shit, and you're just walking them down a hallway and people are taking pictures. It's easy to buy it, but if you knock on that paper mache shit, your hand's going to go right through it. And anybody who spends any real time there starts rolling their fucking eyes. And it's not because the Chinese people are incapable of doing this, it's just because individuality and innovation has been beaten out of them for the last 5 decades, 7. And Xi is making it worse.
When you alluded to Deng Xiaoping and the hide and bide strategy, I'm assuming you're referring to the famous statement by Deng where he goes, hide our strength, bide our time.
Yeah, that's what he was talking about, which had as much to do with Japan as it had to do with the West.
Yes. And it seems that the Chinese, in that sense, have been far more stealthy about this than the Soviet Union ever was.
Yeah, because they... Oh, God.
Let me close
Until recently, they're becoming... the mask has sort of slipped under
You think?
Xi Jinping.
Yes.
Yeah, you think so? You mean the Wolf Warrior diplomacy that basically, again, because he thought they'd reached the line. Marx famously said that you cannot have communism without socialism, and you can't have socialism before capitalism has industrialized a country. That you have to reach a level of industrialization that only capitalism can bring you, and then you can go to socialism, and then you can go to communism. And this was the theory, and it's sort of in many ways the theory that Star Trek is like based on. Yeah, but in like thousands of fucking years. That said, the problem with the Soviets at one point was that they never got to that point of industrialization, and they fucked themselves into this sort of cyclical fallback of poorly regulated kleptocratic socialism that they kind of duct taped together and turned into a government. And the Chinese were basically taking the myth about Soviet efficiency that they were showing to the world and built their system on that myth. And it became just as much of a myth over time. The difference is that they didn't have the United States against them during that time. The United States was trying to help China get out of poverty. We would have done the same thing with the Soviet Union if they hadn't basically declared war on us straight out of the gate. That was officially their problem. But you can't, in the design of it, you can't have even socialism until capitalism has already built a structure that you can go on. Now, the problem they always had was, okay, when's that line? When is it enough? When have we reached the point? The problem with that level of thinking is that I want to say it was like someone in 1902 said that everything that's ever going to be invented has already been invented. They were so marveled by the number of inventions that were going around. They're like, that's it. We're over. And the computer wouldn't come along for decades. And even still, once you get personal computers and stuff, there's sort of a belief system that at a point, these were going to run aground. They were not going to go any further. So any point you would have stopped along the line, that's it. This is the point. We're good. We can now switch over to this because this is as good as it needs to get. The rest of the world would just stampede past you. And and so there were sort of like lagging groups of when they were going to try and pull this. That was a lot of the tug and pull in the Chinese government about when that date would be. And Xi at some point, kind of like Putin and Ukraine, and this like, we've got to put back, Ruska Mir back together again now, because if we don't do it now, we're fucked. We can't be patient anymore. We've run out of options. The Xi Jinping's government has done the exact same fucking thing with Chinese technological advancement, and they basically called it off. Like private education, any advancement in that area, anything we need, we'll just steal through literal spy work at some point in the future, but we can make it all here. And they just started to shut it down. They sealed off the internet. They started shutting everybody out, and they just like started walling themselves off for a period of time, and they need certain money to do certain things, so they play nice with certain corporations that are international corporations to build shit in China to make money. But as far as they're sort of infusing themselves into the rest of the world, that was over. The rest of the planet, that was over, and they were rescinding already. The problem was they jumped the gun, and because of face and pride and all kinds of other reasons and having to be right, which is one of the essences of the CCP's sort of doctrine, they can't back out. Not of something this big and this scale. They can't do an easing like they had before because nobody trusts them anymore. And that's why you're seeing shit like this. That's what that is. We don't need to know any more about tires. We don't need to know any more about, drivetrains and technology and any of that shit. We're done. We got enough. We don't know fully how it works, but we've got it here and we can reverse engineer. We look at it enough. We got some smart people. They'll study it. That'll be that. And unfortunately, because humanity is a technology-based, humans are a technology-based species, there is no jump off point. There's no point where you can go enough is enough without becoming the Amish. And then an Amish with a refrigerator and an Amish with blinkers on your wagon, right?
Let me ask you whether you think, there are people who say that the Biden family has made a lot of money in China.
Yeah, stupid people.
Not just Hunter
What the fuck are you nodding about?
Biden, but Frank Biden, James Biden,
Shemp Biden, Schleppo Biden, Groucho Biden. I mean, all of them. I mean, I love their early movies, but I feel like they lost their way midway through.
and then Joe Biden himself. Do you think that Biden's very
I honest to God, I don't know what the fuck this asshole is nodding about. Nobody does. Bring it up. Like we got, look at this. It's a minute and a half left in this clip. And Dinesh has just dropped this kind of thing that basically every member of Biden's family got rich out of China. None of them fucking speak Chinese. None of them have spent any time there except on like vice presidential visits or Senate visits and shit like that. Where the fuck is their St. James Island? Why are there not Biden hotels all over the fucking... Where is this money and what is he waiting for to spend it? Look, I love Joe Biden, but he's fucking old. And at a certain point, spend it. Where's it going to go? What are you doing? And if he's doing this, why isn't he just... is he saving it for the grandkids? That's very Joe. Honest to God, yeah. And you can't get money out of fucking China. This is an excellent point, Water Goddess. Rich Chinese people can't get money out of China, you dumb son of a bitch.
soft policy on China?
Get the fuck out of here. Oh my God. You mean the CHIPS Act? Jesus Christ. Literally, the Biden administration has been harder on China than any American administration since the opening.
Can be at least in part explained by the fact that
No, you have to establish that there is a soft position on China, stupid, and you can't. Look at the CHIPS Act. It's the most draconian anti-CCP piece of legislation ever written.
that he's that can be explained by the fact of 10% for the big guy.
Yes, he rolled China. If China gave Joe Biden and any member of his family millions/billions of dollars to curry influence with him and make him do things for them, they got fucked.
Yeah, I can. A colleague of ours by the name of Sam Faddis, a career undercover Central Intelligence Agency operative who used to recruit and run assets for our country in some pretty awful places around the world for a living, describes Joe Biden using his own experience and the terms and tradecraft.
Gee, you mean Captain One Note walks up to the piano and starts hammering it with one finger? What a fucking surprise.
Of espionage as a controlled asset.
Yes, based on what?
Of the Chinese Communist Party.
You're a fucking lunatic. That's just dumb. It's, look, there's not even anything fishy on the side where you can go, oh, well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Like, literally, they have just been stomping the trade breaks with China. You know who might be the only people that qualify as a controlled asset of China right now that I can see that grew in their hinkiness over time is Elon fucking Musk. The number of Chinese advertisers keeping Twitter afloat right now is quirky as shit. And the fact that he built his big Tesla gigafactory in Shanghai, their output has been, huge. Sales are in the shitter, but they're basically they're working with the Communist Party to just keep idle hands working. They're just making Teslas whether they can sell them or not, because that's part of the deal of things you sell in China. And they mock up the fucking numbers, but you can't fake them in the United States because it's a publicly traded company.
And do I think that has something to do with the fact that we're not only seeing him pursue policies that China clearly likes, but he's...
Like what? Name one. Name one. Just one. Like the Blaba Act. Like his executive order where he anything. Do you see any of that in this entire conversation? And again, I didn't pick this clip. They don't, after this is over, insofar as I know, they don't go into a deep reads explanation of what the fuck they're talking about. The mess and Debbie pulled this clip of him talking to Gaffney because it is exemplary of the depth and quality of the conversation that they were having.
Pursuing policies that are destroying our country.
What? Name one.
To the advantage of the Chinese Communist Party.
What? The AUKUS agreement, where we gave Australia nuclear-powered sub-technology, so that, working with the UK, and had Japan join it so that they can patrol the South China Seas quietly without the Chinese knowing that they're there and help protect Taiwan? What do you mean? Going on television and saying, if China attacks Taiwan, we will protect them with force, sending more U.S. Marines to train the Taiwanese so that if any time in the near future China actually attacks Taiwan, they have to risk killing American service members, not to mention American tourists and other people who are hanging out in Taiwan. They still got that in and of itself is an international incident waiting to fucking happen. There's no point, by the way, where there's going to be a Taiwan that is free of foreigners long enough for them to fucking attack, especially rich, well-connected business foreigners who deal in tech, for example. And God knows those people don't need a VPN to get their message out of Taiwan. So what the AUKUS agreement, is that to the benefit of China? Harsher steel tariffs? The CHIPS Act? I don't even fucking know. I feel like this video was posted 19 hours ago. I feel like it was posted 19 years ago. See what happens? I get all... there's dumb, and then there's this, what the fuck level of dumb. And by the way, This is as deep as the conversation ever needs to be about China and Biden and America as far as the mess and this fucker are concerned. If they go any deeper, it falls apart. So it's got to be shallow and wide. Big, enormous China's going to eat our lunch kind of phraseology. Oh, the military, how much the blah, blah, blah. All that shit, just wagging lips about that shit. But the minute they go into any details at all, it fucking falls apart. So they can't. So beyond the lying of omission, this is propaganda by omission. This is pro-CCP propaganda. Make no mistake. Gaffney may pretend to be an enemy of China and a U.S. hawk for protecting ourselves about our security. That's not the job he and the mess are doing right now. The job they are doing is inflating the fucking blimp of the giant Chinese moon so that you see it floating in the sky and go, oh my God, there's another moon in the sky. And somebody goes, it's a fucking balloon and it's got a leak in it and it's coming down. They're like, no. It's going to knock our moon out of the way. You watch. Like, that's what they're doing. This is pro-CCP propaganda. That's what it's for. Gaffney is a CCP mouthpiece in this case. Now, he might be, a paid useful idiot, or he might just be a useless idiot who comes to these stupid, like, in many ways, ancient opinions or theories on his own. But it's all based on him being in an intellectual and philosophical cul-de-sac of right-wing assholes that also not just are worried about Chinese overtaking U.S. hegemony, blah, 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 but that they are looking at the investment potential of China. Salivating. Ugh.
I think that's pretty much the consistent, characterization of these policies, whether it's domestic, the border, our economy,
Yeah. So the idea is that because Biden isn't the president they want him to be, he's the president that Democrats want him to be because he's a fucking Democrat, that those things, just him, just an infrastructure bill, prioritizing that and getting it passed is a way of, like, helping the Chinese attack our, like, this is even lamer than I thought. That's the root.
Military, you name it.
The military budget has gone up both years Biden's been in office. What the fuck?
Bad for America, good for the CCP.
Very chilling.
It is very chilling. It's very nipply in here. I feel afraid. It might be my own ignorance that made both my legs go to sleep.
Frank, I'm going to have you back to talk more about all this. Thank you very much.
Don't do it. Dinesh, don't have him back on. Because if you have him back on, you might have to actually ask him what the fuck he's talking about, and that won't be good for either one of you. Gaffney is one of the biggest wheel-spinning dickheads in this entire, Sino-American relations conversation. I mean, obviously, there are some people who are always fighting the last war. This dude is fighting 3 economic wars ago. No idea what the fuck is going on right now. And certainly no awareness of the demographic issues that both China and Russia have, and for that matter, Iran as well. Beyond the, he knows, I would guess, he probably knows the name Evergrande and Countrywide. But he has no idea the level of damage that's gone on in their economic sector just in the last 3 years since the 3 red lines. Much less fucking COVID and the deaths, and no idea. Who the fuck would have a China's eating our lunch conversation after the CHIPS Act when we are reshoring at the fastest clip, and the two companies that are most talked about getting out of China are Apple, which is moving to Vietnam and other places. They've already signaled. And they're moving their chip manufacturing to the United States, to fucking Arizona. God damn, this is dumb. Oh my God, Lisa Marie Presley passed away? Somebody just brought that up. I saw that she went into cardiac arrest today, and that they oh man, they brought her back, but I don't, from fucking what? Ugh. That's just sad. I know that she'd been in the hospital all day because she apparently had a heart attack earlier today. She went to cardiac arrest this morning. Her husband took the kids to school, came back, and just as he was arriving, she had a heart attack. He started doing CPR, called 911. They gave her epinephrine, and she had a pulse back. And then they took her to the hospital, and then she passed away there. Fuck. It's a shame. Was she, I'm just looking at people responding about this too. And you have been with Hal, I know you've been with Hal from the start. Did the stream start 22 months ago? I watched TYT until they started talking shit on my man Joe, so I was just done with him. I feel like I found him on YouTube right around the State of the Union in 2021. I started my show right at the beginning of lockdown. 54, a year older than me. Man. Yeah, her mother's still alive. Priscilla I saw pictures of her going to the hospital. Yes, Priscilla is alive. She went there to the hospital to see her. The right wing will blame it on the COVID jab. I don't think she was vaccinated. I think if she's a Scientologist, I highly doubt it. She recently lost a child and suffered depression. I hope it wasn't, she didn't take something after the kids went to school and it was the wrong thing or too much of the thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame. What, the Presleys themselves as a family, especially with, like Elvis as the patriarch and how he went out and the story around that dude and just the fucking sad decline leading up to it. I have to say, I have to probably credit Elvis Presley for being the second most influential music artist for me, in terms of not drinking and not doing drugs. The first being Kiss, because Gene and Paul have never been high and don't drink. And I think Paul drinks a little socially, but they've never been drunk is the point. They don't drink to excess, and it's, moderation, blah, blah, blah. And so that was formative for me, that it was a possibility. I made my own decision, but that was one of the reasons. And then Elvis's sort of early exit from this life, and how he went was certainly a factor. Yeah. So random. Yeah. She might have inherited her father's heart condition. Very possibly. I mean, it could, mixture of all kinds of things. So there's a combination of a lot of this stuff. And at the very least, it's just sad for her family and that kind of stuff. And I have to say, how many people in the chat, and by the way, hi chat room. Let me say hi to you guys, because I've been at this and I'm almost at the end of the show and I've only done 2 videos. It's crazy. There's so much. That's what happens when I get in here and we get on a topic that gets me all fucking wound up. Yeah. Hold on one second. I'll bring you guys in. Hi, everybody. Hi. Hello. Oh, it's the birthday of HAL 9000 today. That's right. Yeah. He was turned on in Urbana, Illinois today at the HAL laboratory. Yeah. Wow. Well, we're glad you're here with us. Mom, look, I'm on the TV. There you go. Yeah, I've been to Graceland. I've been down there a couple times, but I will say that I had a renewed respect for the guy and what he went through and the timing of it. You know, because but for a certain time, and who's to say, he could have been Amy Winehouse had it been a modern thing. But his like that the Baz Luhrmann movie that just came out. I have she was married to Nick Cage. That's right. And Michael Jackson. Right. I did break the fourth wall. It happens. I think I've told you guys, I hated Elvis most of my life because the day he died, this girl I had a crush on in sixth grade started crying on the bus because she found out on an old transistor radio that Elvis had passed away, and she and her mom were huge fans, and she'd taken her to see a show, and it was a big deal. And you watched the HBO movie about Elvis with Tom Hanks. It wasn't an HBO movie. It was in theaters. It was a Boz one. Her son died by suicide in 2020. In retrospect, I look back on the times that people came up in and grew through and what they knew versus what we know now. Because you guys know I have a real issue with overlaying your current morals or circumstance or your view of the world on other people even living in that time right across from you, much less people that lived decades earlier than you and lived decades before, like matured decades before that and went through life that way. And I always, I try to at least, and I'm getting better at it, always have that awareness whenever I'm thinking of historical figures, when I'm judging them through the lens of the time that I grew up in, right? And I think because of the crux of time and my age, I always judged Elvis much more harshly, and as a child who was mad at him for making my future girlfriend cry. She never was, but at that point, that's what I was thinking. That I was mad because he made her go through that. And now as I'm older and in many ways like older than he was. I forget how old he was when he passed. But because he looked a lot older. Fuck. I now have I'm a lot more patient, I think. And I think that's what maturity and age gives people more than almost anything, is it's easier forgiveness and also refusal to forgive is way easier. It's less murky when you get older, I think. You'll forgive 42, yeah. That looking at at someone's life like that, and forgiving who they were and what they went through, and just kind of looking and going, fuck, what would it have been like to be 15 during that time? What would you be like if you were 12 or 17? And by the way, what would you be like if you were 12 or 17 in that house versus the one right next door? And so, an awareness of that doesn't mean you have to be as a matter of fact, you can be less forgiving about the traits because we've all moved past them, but more understanding of the people who grew up in that time who might have believed those things, because we have fucking QAnons now and they have access to all kinds of information that they're full of shit and believing dumbassery. They just choose to not see it. And it's much easier to craft a person like that back then. right? So yeah, and that it was just interesting. It was like a fascinating take, because I didn't want to like the movie, because I recognized in myself oddly psychological stuff, like, what's the big deal? Why am I still hanging on? One reason we got so annoyed with many in the GOP missing that empathetic maturity. Yeah, absolutely. Now, again, we live in the same time, and especially when you see somebody like Sebastian Gorka, and I'm like, dude, I see the cultural references. You just took a whole different fucking message away from the same shit I saw because you chose that. And again, I'm not one of these people who thinks that, if you have, how do I put this in a in a respectful way, that who your parents are is going to have an impact, who you're around is going to have an impact, but at a certain point, it's fucking up to you. And it's up to you to take a good gander at what you believe and doing a reevaluation is not a bad idea either. It's always, that's what openness is about. That's what that's what free speech was for. That's why it's there, even with its ugly. And so when you're looking at somebody like, Gorka in that crowd, and they're taking this, like the totally opposite, they're almost like rooting for the Empire in the Star Wars movies, which they clearly like, but what the fuck for? Or who they think the Empire is really odd. It's at a certain point when you're an adult, that's your ass. You live now, and so you've made that decision not because you're crazy or you're lost or because of the references you experienced as a kid, but because you are choosing something that makes you feel good or secure or powerful. And, we've had this in first place you've ever heard of Diamond was here with how, yeah. I mean, it's just sad. I don't fucking need somebody like Diamond from Diamond and Silk to pass away. Like, Carol Cook, I'm sorry. It's just, I don't need anyone's displeasure for me to have pleasure. I just don't need it. That's not how I work. It's not how I operate. But I do recognize that there are those who do. That's why I have no illusions about prison and fewer illusions about, police and that kind of stuff in life. Because I don't believe you can you medicalize or psychoanalyze everyone and categorize them and then say, oh, well, everything that isn't good and decent behavior or regular human interaction is an illness, thereby letting them off the hook. The reality is there's some folks in the world that decide early on that doing something awful gives them pleasure and satisfies their needs. And in doing that, they make an active choice about it. They know it's wrong. They know it causes harm. They know it hurts people, but they benefit from them, so they don't care. Bad guys are needed for good guys to exist and vice versa. I don't think so. I don't think it's about contrast, Dragonflyer. I don't. I'm not acting good so I'm not bad. I'm acting good because of the joy it brings me and because, of the feeling it gives me and how I know it helps someone else. I am not doing good things in my life so that I'm not an awful person. So the power dichotomy thing I've never gotten. It's not a zero-sum question. That's right. And and that's why I don't have a problem saying that there are some evil fuckers out there. People who have every opportunity to understand that what they're doing is wrong, and they decide, you know what, this does it for me. I like it. I don't see the problem. Trump is one of those people. Bannon is one of those people. So was Dahmer. And I think that's probably the birth of the choose less evil conversation. It's become a sort of an anecdote or a sweet joke around here that we, make a point of, but I mean it. And partly that's what life involves. is that seeing the choices in front of you and making the better choice every single time. And choose less evil is always a way of, ragging on the people who think it's just a choice between the lesser of two evils. Well, then choose less evil. If that's all you got, choose less evil. And so the same thing, what would Evil Hal say? I have conversations with Evil Hal all the time, more of their thought exercises, when I'm trying to figure out what someone like Scott Ritter or fucking Putin or any of these folks are up to. I try to sit, I try to sit with those thoughts and like figure out, what do they have to gain from it? Not, okay, what damage could have led, because I think there's a psychological mistake in this. I've always felt this, and people can disagree, and I don't care. But I don't think it's about like, if only his parents had, or his mother was okay, there's a lot of people with bad parents that find someone in their life that they interact with, because there's lots of people in the world, and that fills that void, and they eventually grow. It's just true. But there are some people who, no matter how much support they got, as a matter of fact, the more support they got, the more their parents were laissez-faire about letting them have whatever they wanted, the more evil they became, because they think the world is just there for their taking, for their pleasure. And that's why I don't have a problem with some people are guilty because they're guilty. And not everybody's just, it may be insane to you and I, because we can't see the pleasure in harming another actively, physically, for the sheer purpose of doing it. They do. So it is not insane. It is just a human being getting their needs met in an awful way. And so I don't have any illusions about any of that shit. And I also think that because they can still think, they can be reached. And if they choose not to be reached, it's because they have chosen not to. Yeah, Scott Ritter thing about him being a convicted pedophile, that was a big deal today. It totally explains why he's running interference so harshly for Russia, and why he's obviously just talking out of his ass. And for those of you who don't know, somebody posted earlier today that Scott Ritter's his arrest record for solicitation of a minor. And then I was like, oh, well, of course. If you've got those kind of, if you're the kind of evil awful that takes pleasure in that kind of shit, like Scott Ritter did, and then you manage to keep it hidden from everybody, but then you get stationed in Russia, they're just going to film you doing everything you're doing. Or they're going to offer it to you because they figure it out. Scott Ritter's one of the guys, he's one of the Putin apologists. He was an IAEA inspector, I think, at one point, sent to Iraq a long time ago. He was in the intelligence community, but he eventually ended up being like a liaison to the GRU, and ever since then, he's been a big Kremlin fan. And it makes total sense now. Some people I'm like, you don't seem that dumb. You had a smart job. What the fuck? And then you're like, oh, they have compromat on him. Or they pay him in that kind of behavior. That one day he'll get to move back to Russia and they'll throw all the fucking Chechen or Dagestani or fucking Kazakhstani kids his way that he wants. His wife is Russian. Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense. Like, they're just keeping tabs on him. And they have, it's compromise. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, Fugelsang got a haircut? I knew I'd win. Yeah, he was caught with internet minor girls 12 years ago. He got caught again. No, this was somebody bringing it up. I just hadn't seen it. Yeah, Grumpy Cat, sorry. We just spoke about that. It's terrible. Anyways, I like that made sense for me. That one thing, I was like, oh, of course. They assigned him to the to be a GRU liaison or whatever, and he's spending time in Russia just like Matt Taibbi did, doing sketchy, fucked up stuff while he's there. And then they film it, and then from that point on, you just oddly like, America is the worst thing in the world, and everybody's picking on Russia. That's where he's been for the last fucking couple of decades. It's where Matt Taibbi's been, right? Makes total sense. And what happens the day you turn on that? You're done. They just release it, whatever it is. Makes total fucking sense. Yeah, Greenwald probably as well. Like, yeah. All the seven who went over to, the 7 Republicans who went over there, Ron Johnson, good Lord. The way that guy acts, you're like, it would seem logical that at some point, as a Wisconsin senator of all fucking people, because I think McCarthy was a fucking Wisconsin senator, wasn't he? That you would tap the brakes at some point on some of the stuff he says, but it's so fucking blatant. Yeah. What happened to Jimmy Dore? Jimmy Dore's just painted himself into a dumb corner and just is raking in the dough from these, like, from bot accounts and tankies. Yep. Anyways, much love to you guys. I'm going to let you guys go. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, by the way, the morning show will be later. It'll be an hour later because I'm doing promo for the Nerd Halen gig a week from Saturday. So I've got a show at 9 o'clock, and then at 10 o'clock I'll be free and I'll pop on. So we'll, fingers crossed. And I have, let's see, have we still heard? I always have to check this real quick. 1 second. I don't think. Let's see. I always like to check just in case it's on here. Nope, still no answer. I don't know why Mike Pillow isn't taking my press opportunity seriously. I'm going to have to call him again. Anyways, love you guys. I will see you in the morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time, not 9, because like I said, I have to do that show at 9. I'll post where we are for the 9 o'clock show if they're live streaming it. I don't know if they are, but that's when we're scheduled to do it. And then I'll hop back onto my show at 10, and then we'll do the afternoon show. Then I get Saturday, and then I'm driving to LA on Saturday night. So I'll be doing the show from LA, probably in a rowboat, Monday and Tuesday. And part of Wednesday. So a tanky is somebody was asking, a tanky is a leftist, a left-leaning person, what I would call a faux-aggressive, who, if you really boil them down to it, sides with the tank in the Tiananmen Square massacre. Remember the guy standing in front of the tank and he had the bags in his hand, that guy? Okay, tankies are on the side of the Chinese authoritarians. That's how you, and so they always come to the rescue of authoritarians, even though they're supposedly left. Right, if that makes sense. Donna, no idea. None whatsoever. Yeah, an authoritarian leftist. That's a great idea. Yeah. Aaron Mate, Max Blumenthal, Jimmy Dore, that's what they are. They're tankies. They root for the tank in the Tiananmen Square video. And we'll never stop because there's a lot of money in that. Anyways, I love you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much. Remember, 10 o'clock and then the regular show in the afternoon. Much love, and we'll see you soon. Okay, bye.